Welcome to the Smart Connector, a podcast for entrepreneurs who put people first. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button to make sure you never miss an episode. In our podcast, we'll be looking at the power of authentic connection and how it can build your business success. We feature interviews with leading entrepreneurs and offer strategies to bring power to all your relationships, including the one you have with yourself. Be a smart connector too, the architect of your amazing business and life. Hey, I'm Jane Bayler. Great to see you on my podcast, in which, with your permission, I'm going to tell you all about smart connection and what it can do for you. Most of my podcasts cover topics that are relevant to connection, but not actively promoting my business. Of course, that gets people curious about what I do and how I monetize my knowledge and experience. So in this podcast, I'm going to tell you. As well as being the title of my best-selling book and this podcast, the Smart Connector also consists of a 90-day personal and business brand and leadership program for entrepreneurs and executives who want to increase their impact and authority and become the most influential and compelling version of themselves, stepping up to their power so that others step up and say yes to them, which translates to wealth and business success, as well as freedom, choice, and the life they've always dreamed of. It's a blended brand and personal development system, if you like, for shedding the layers and getting right to the heart of you, at the end of which you'll be engaged with and able to express your authentic truth in a deeper, richer, and more powerful way than ever before. You'll develop clarity around your vision and values, and a message and system to implement and take to others. There'll be no turning back for you after this. Perhaps you're wondering what qualifies me to be an expert in this area. I'm a business, relationship and brand expert. I worked for 20 years managing and developing multi-million-pound accounts in advertising and media in London, which included scaling an international design business from 1 to 6 million in a year and selling it. For the past 5 years, I've also worked in the massively people-orientated property sector. I read and research prolifically on connection, as this is my favourite topic, but a lot of my experience has also come from my real-world pain and triumphs as both an entrepreneur and former corporate high flyer, investor, cancer survivor and single parent. It's simply a topic that I deeply care about more than anybody else I know. How can you tell where you are right now on the spectrum of connection? So disconnection can show up as a feeling of sadness or loneliness. No one needs to be lonely, but too many people are because they haven't learned how not to be. Another sign could be a feeling of anxiety, stress, or confusion. If you don't know and understand what you think, feel, and want, your connection with yourself could do with an upgrade. The next issue is disempowerment. If you have even one relationship in your life that doesn't lift you higher, in other words, makes you feel great about your decision to engage, your connection skills need work. If you even feel your emotions or other people are controlling you rather than the other way round, if you act out, shout, gossip, judge, blame, or talk too much or too little, make promises you don't keep, or run away from people rather than manage and resolve issues courageously, your connection skills need that upgrade. And importantly, if you struggle to get what you want and need in your business, or if you want to improve your visibility and connect at scale, your connection skills will benefit massively. Wow, that's a lot to think about, I know. If you're anything like the person I was a few years ago, you've got a long way to go, baby. In business today, increasing noise and competition means that companies are no longer competing on product or the corporate brand alone. With so much visibility and transparency via digital and social media, your potential customers tend to make their buying choices by aligning with you, the person, rather than the business you represent. And their decision will be influenced on how strongly your character and message resonates with them. You can call this personal brand, but having worked at a high level in brand marketing in London for 20 years, I know the strongest brands are built from within. They're 100% congruent. They have heritage and history, a why and a story. They're constructed from the ground up rather than just being hastily thrown together like new shoes or wallpaper. And the same thinking needs to apply to your personal brand too. Look at Richard Branson, who describes himself to his million followers on Instagram as a tie-loathing adventurer and thrill-seeker who believes in turning ideas into reality. He's a great example of a powerful personal brand. Tony Robbins, the personal development guru, is another. There's Oprah Winfrey, the queen of self-help, and Gary Vaynerchuk. If you're in marketing, you'll definitely have heard of him. But if not, check out Gary Vee. He's everywhere. People like Richard, Oprah, Tony, and Gary have cleverly built their brands for a long time. They've managed to make their large and otherwise faceless corporations seem personal and relevant to millions, which results in those millions taking out their wallets and saying yes to them. They're influencers of the highest order. They're the entrepreneurial success stories we need to pay attention to most today. The bliss of learning to connect smartly is that it means you'll have a permanent solution or antidote to loneliness or pain. It doesn't mean you'll never have those difficult feelings, but you'll know what to do about them when you do. It also means that you'll be better able to lead, sell, inspire, and influence, meaning your business will be more profitable, as well as more enjoyable for you. As I often say, a Smart Connector truly is the architect of their amazing business and life. There are plenty of smart connectors already within my inner circle, and in my podcast I reference and interview them, so that between us we set a standard for connection excellence. It's important to remember that people want to buy from you, and if not, they'll buy from someone else. To illustrate this, I've produced some podcast episodes on influence and persuasion, one of which looks at the principle of commitment and consistency. Consumers, which is a marketing industry term, you might think of them as your clients or customers, are constantly looking for shortcuts to make decisions because they're overwhelmed by choice. They need and want our guidance and leadership. It's a basic human instinct to be drawn to others who can show us the way. And once we've found a brand or person who does this, we tend to stick to them for our future choices. So that's why personal brand is such a critical indicator of success in business today. But personal brand isn't just about making yourself visible to others, although of course this matters too. You also have to manage their perception of you. Become, if you like, the most popular person at the party. It's not always easy to do this for ourselves, but I have a system to make it easier, which is Smart Connection. Smart Connection will get you recognized as the foremost leader and authority in your sector, so you don't lose out to others. You'll know when and how to step into your power and communicate with clarity and authority so that others step up to deliver on your vision and goals. Your ability to engage, inspire, and influence is your secret weapon for success. It gets others to yes, whether it's in your personal life with your partner, friends, or children, or in your business where you're competing for the biggest slice of your market. Smart Connection is what gets people to align with you, because if they don't, they'll turn to others for the answer. Remember, it's human nature to want guidance and to be helped to make those right choices. You can be the one that influences people to choose you over others, so that they accept your leadership without question. This isn't about selling, especially not the old way, which I call manipulation marketing. Today's buyers are too savvy and too informed to fall for these old tricks. It's not about shouting louder or being everywhere either, although this will get you attention, which, if you like, is the first step of developing a congruent personal brand. This is about attraction marketing, or showing up as the most consistent and authentic version of yourself. Because when you do, you win the trust of others, and trust is at the heart of business success today. Becoming a smart connector starts with personal transformation or overhaul. This is because personal brand, or becoming the most popular person at the party, isn't like a new dress or some glamorous jewelry. It's an inside job. Think about the people you found absolutely irresistible in the past. Who would you love to spend a day with? Personally, I'd love to spend a day with Oprah, Tony, Richard, or Gary Vee, but I'd also love to spend a day with a handful of other people I've met in my life who just have the ability to make me feel good about myself and the limitless possibilities for my life. You can be that person too, the inspirer, the torchbearer, the creator of those value vouchers that turn into business profits and cash in the bank. To inspire or lead others, you have to be a leader of yourself first. And that's not as easy as people think. This is why Smart Connection begins with the relationship or connection you have with yourself. You see, you can't inspire or lead others if you're struggling with issues of self-mastery such as poor self-esteem, loneliness, depression, weak interpersonal boundaries, or an ability to regulate your emotions. The more you're able to stand up for yourself in a low-key, relaxed way and regulate your mood, the more purpose and joy you'll have in your life, and the more people will naturally be drawn towards you and want to align with you. They'll want to know your secret sauce because energy and emotions are contagious and people crave purpose and joy. So smart connectors are positive people. They're never boring or bored because they see life as an amazing adventure and they approach it with a passion that fires up other people too. Most people fake positivity. They say they're fine or they put on a mask. But we humans are intuitive creatures and we can tell the difference. So the first pillar of smart connection, if you like, is an overhaul of the relationship you have with yourself. Remember, you are far more transparent than you seem. It's not that you won't have problems, even big ones, but you'll approach them as temporary obstacles, not inescapable fate. When things go wrong, you'll remind yourself that a bad day is just one day, it will pass, and tomorrow or next week or next month you'll have the chance to reset and accelerate your passion and purpose. So what happens if life's dealt you a series of really harsh blows? I've seen repeatedly that the perception of what's harsh is not a truth, it's just a story that we tell ourselves. So many people go through terrible hardship and still come out the other side grateful and smiling. I often hear about people who think life has dealt them endless blows, but because they're disconnected from others in the form of authentic communication, they don't realise that everyone has crosses to bear, and it's likely that we're no worse off than thousands of others who have a completely different perspective. So don't buy into the victim mentality or join the pity party. As long as you're alive, you've got your health, a roof over your head and enough money to feed your family, life is good. Anyway, my program goes into this in more detail as Smart Connection is a system that can be learned and practiced. So let's move on to the next level, the way you resonate and connect with others. You can't be disconnected or isolated from others and be emotionally healthy. Numerous studies have shown not just that people live longer when they have meaningful social contact, but also their survival from chronic illnesses like cancer improves. Because we're pack animals like dogs, isolation and disconnection is actually deadly to us humans. Remember those Romanian orphan babies who failed to grow and develop because they weren't being cuddled enough? The more quality connection we can build into our lives, the happier we'll be, and the more contagious positive energy we'll transmit to others, meaning that they'll seek us out and prioritize contact with us over others. Of course, this is tremendously helpful to us personally, but since the Smart Connector is a program for business executives and entrepreneurs, this also means that when others choose to invest their time and energy in us, it will result in profitable growth for our businesses too. More money brings the time and freedom to enjoy the life we truly desire, so it's like a virtuous circle. Did you know that some studies today claim that interpersonal connection is the new luxury? Business automation is great for profits, but deeply uncomfortable to us humans. Look at how it's playing out today. Everything from learning to services is becoming automated, meaning that too often we end up staring at a screen or listening to a voice that doesn't have a real person on the other end that we can engage with. It may feel like a relationship is being built because the voice and the face are human, but that's actually our imagination tricking us. We're being abandoned on a human level. We're left with a feeling of emptiness, a soul-searing sadness if this isn't balanced with real-time interaction with real people. Life is finite, time is short. We need to be able to differentiate between the people who are worth us spending our time and energy on and those who are just going to leave us empty and frustrated. The program helps us recognize behaviors and attitudes in others that are unhelpful or even toxic to us and eliminate these behaviors or the people that display them rapidly and effectively from our lives. Smart Connectors have a method and a system for connection and relationship growth. And when the right people enter their lives, they know exactly what to do to keep them there. They also know how to be of service to others in a way that resonates to them. In other words, they possess the skill of discovering and responding to the values of others, rather than operating as if theirs are the only ones that count. They can adjust their behavior and style to make others feel comfortable. It's about stepping into another's shoes and seeing life through their lens, and then stepping up and manifesting that wisdom through your actions and behaviour. If this sounds like work, well, yes it is, if you've been used to operating from a purely selfish perspective. But to get people to resonate with, align with, and say yes to you, this is the real shortcut to success. Not everyone's going to get this, but that's fine. There are always going to be people in the world who can't contemplate doing anything that doesn't result in an immediate and tangible win for them. But what such people don't realise is that over the long term, they're going to be left in the dust by the smart connectors amongst us. I'm not saying such people can't be wealthy, because given the right circumstances, focus and consistent action, anyone can build wealth. But without genuine connection, when they've built it, wealthy people can end up being used and secretly despised or resented by others. I've seen these kinds of relationships become sharply transactional, and life can become lonelier and lonelier as a result. If you think about all of those celebrities that tragically died young, Whitney Houston, George Michael, Prince, my heroes, they should have had the world at their feet instead of being surrounded by users. Wealth should be a vehicle to the thing that we all do it for, which is the love of other people and of life itself. But many people just don't know how to make the transition or bridge from relationship survival to relationship excellence. I want my mentees to become communications experts, to be good at listening as well as reading and responding to the cues or signals that come from others. Their learned curiosity will make it easy for them to ask the right questions and to know what to do and say in order to ignite alignment. This helps them get what they want and need from others. It is important to say that smart connectors are generally made rather than born, although some of us, however, are blessed with the incredible role models who show us how to do it from the start. But most of us aren't. We do need to be shown the way, and we mustn't forget that in the last 100 years, the exponential rate of change in the world has far exceeded our ability to deal with it comfortably. What worked for our ancestors simply doesn't work for us. We've installed that operating system, but it's deficient for the society we find ourselves within. Today, most ambitious people leave their families, towns, and even countries of origin behind. This wasn't an option for our ancestors. They stayed in the same place, within the same nationality and culture, and with the same people as their parents and their parents' parents. But the rules have changed today, and a new paradigm is needed. It's often the unambitious who stay in one place today, the ones who believe that struggle and limitation are inevitable in life. That's not you if you're tuning into this. Think about soap operas. Their huge popularity presents a world that's comforting on all levels. Lifelong friendships nurtured on a daily basis through face-to-face interaction. The boredom of close-knit communities tempered by problems and dramas that are of course happening to people other than ourselves. They're so far from the lives we find ourselves in today. The way soap operas soothe is the way we hurt, and it's all about connection. Is connection a first world problem, you might ask? After all, people the world over, in third world as well as civilized societies, have made sense of the world and others for centuries. They've connected and supported each other for as long as we've been on Earth. It's certainly the truth that I offer a personal development program for ambitious individuals who want to be the architect of their amazing businesses and lives, rather than people who are struggling and in survival mode. In another podcast, I look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs that demonstrates how certain needs have to be satisfied before you move on to a higher tier, which explains why this is the case. If you're worried about where your next meal is coming from, you won't see the relevance of this program, and that's fine. This isn't for everyone. As I already said, the concept was involved for ambitious individuals who want to be the architects of their amazing businesses and lives. For such people, it's simply a shortcut and a system to interpersonal success and well-being. Let's move on to connection to many. Of course, the most important element of the program for many will be the connection to many or at scale. This really does take some time to evolve, but we show you where and how to start in order to show up to the world at large as the most personally powerful and persuasive version of you. Connection or resonance with many really belongs to the engine room of business scale-up. So if you're an entrepreneur, the how and why of this is absolutely critical to your success. One of my favourite authors, MJ DeMarco, talks about money as value vouchers. He says if you want to make millions, impact millions. So create value vouchers for millions and they will pay you millions in return. What does this mean for you? So taking your message to the world is an art as well as a science. The science comes from automated technology-based systems, which have methods for bringing you to the attention of your prospective customers. It can also come from the use of social media, writing blogs or recording vlogs, podcasts, or public speaking, and developing a process for uploading them so you can become accessible to many. But the art of connection to many, however, is far more skilled and complex, involving your message and how you express it, and that's what this aspect of the program is all about. It's actually natural for people who've developed confident self-expression and mastery, which we cover in the initial parts of the program, to want to broaden their horizons and step up to the challenge of taking their message to the world. Sometimes your message may not have a commercial outcome. It's healthy and even desirable to have an altruistic or philanthropic purpose in life too, whether it supports your business or sits alongside. For example, I use my Smart Connector Facebook page as a daily meditation journal to impart wisdom and encouragement to those who are struggling in life. Compassion is an important element of my personal story and brand. And people visit my page daily and express their appreciation and thanks for encouraging and inspiring them, which I love. It's a way I give back to the world, and you can use connection to many like this too if you want. Or reserve it exclusively for your business growth and success. The choice is yours. A lot of people talk about personal brand today, but don't actually understand how brands are constructed. Having spent 20 years in advertising and media, I do, and there's the difference. You might say, well, if I understand personal brand so well, how come I'm not a mega wealthy celebrity like Oprah or Tony Robbins myself? The answer is that for me, with a supporter profile, I'd rather do it for others and keep mine as an enabler and facilitator of your success. Also, I've had other priorities in my life, including my property work, my family, and cancer survivorship. So building my own personal brand hasn't always been a priority. I've stepped up my activity recently, though, so you'll definitely be seeing more of me in future. Always remember that brand equity is the product of consistent investment over time. There really are no overnight successes. Start small with the right structure and support, putting in the foundations for you to fly over time. The system I will put people through in my 90-day program is really just the beginning of their journey to becoming the very best and most influential version of themselves. Of course, some take it further with my by-application only inner circle masterminds and retreats, but most put the foundations in place and start their journey through embarking on the low-cost 90-day program. Thank you for listening to this podcast, and I hope that it's helped you understand what Smart Connection is and what it might be able to do for you. You can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn, or email me on jane@janebayler.com if you'd like to find out more. Thank you for listening to the Smart Connector podcast. I invite you to follow me on social media or go to www.janebayler.com to book a discovery call and learn about our exciting mentorships, masterminds and retreats. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.